Alpha and Zoomer say. Anyway, here's Sean Hannity
together
and
in
Trump.
terms of, their land is incredible. The rare earth, the oil, gas, everything, it's incredible. It's the largest piece of land in the world as a nation by far.
It's from a song.
I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. That's big stuff. But we would have done a lot of great things, but we had the Russia hoax, which stopped us from doing that. We would have done so great. But we had one of the great hoaxes. I mean, there were others, like the election itself, as you know, as you covered better than anyone. But it was a rigged election and a horrible thing that took place in 2020. But we would have had a great relationship, but we did amazingly well, considering, he would look and see what happened. He would think we're crazy, with the made-up Russia hoax. So we had something very important, and we had a very good meeting today, but we'll see. I mean, it's, you have to get a deal. We agreed on a lot of points. I want to see people stop dying in Ukraine, and that's what's happening. We're losing 5, 6, 7,000. They're Russians, mostly Russians, and they're Ukrainian soldiers. There's some people dying in cities and towns where they're trying to blow up missile manufacturers and other things in some cities. I don't know if you know what's going on there, but there are a lot of people dying. And if we can end that war, it would be very good. And I was very happy to hear him say, if I was president, that war would have never happened.
Mr. President, that was my next question. He said at the joint press conference that and you have said this many, many times, and he confirmed for the world today, that if you were president, this wouldn't have happened. Did any of the specifics come up as to why he said that?
It did. It doesn't matter at this point, but that this war should never have happened. A lot of wars should never have happened. There was stupid things go down, and the wrong people are talking, but the president in so many ways, he should have never let it happen. And it did. There are millions of people killed. I mean, it's the worst thing since I see everyone saying worst since World War II by far. There's nothing even close. But we had a very good meeting today, and I think a lot of points were negotiated on behalf of Ukraine and on behalf of the whole NATO situation, where we're dealing very well with a lot of foreign countries that are great, European countries. So, look, as far as I'm concerned, there's no deal until there's a deal. But we did make a lot of progress.
The meeting took place in this room.
Yeah.
This is where you met, right in this room.
Did. Well, let me examine it.
Yes. That's where you were sitting.
That's it. I would say that's it. Yep.
So did you have alone time with him?
Yeah, I did. I did actually after our speeches. He made a very good speech, and I also finished it up. And afterwards, we spoke. Right after that, we spoke very sincerely. I think he wants to see it done.
Yeah. In your press conference, you talked about a lot of things that you agreed on, and maybe one big issue you don't agree on. Are you prepared to go public with that?
No, I'd rather not. I guess somebody's going to go public with it. No, I don't want to do that. I want to see if we can get it done. It's not a done deal at all.
Mm-hmm.
And Ukraine has to agree. I mean, President Zelensky has to agree. But it's a terrible war where he's losing a lot, and both of them are. And hopefully it can get completed. That'll be a great achievement for them. Forget about me, for them. And you'll save 7,000 lives a week. That's a lot.
I spoke very briefly to Secretary of State Rubio, and he did say to me, he goes, there's a difference when you're in the same room together than versus, talking to each other through the press.
Even through the phone.
Even through the phone.
It's not the same thing. When you're on a telephone, it's not the same thing either. This was
when you see him in person,
we were
he's so
together
much more
almost 3
attractive,
hours.
believe it.
And it was very extensive, and we agreed on a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points were agreed on. But there's not that
much. There's a difference between phone sex and sex in the person.
But I think they can be reached. Now it's really up to President Zelensky to get it done.
I say, kiss me through the phone.
I would also say the European nations.
But it's not the same as feeling his luscious lips against mine.
I think we are. And if they'd like, I'll be at that next meeting. They're going to set up a meeting now between President Zelensky and President Putin.
Vladimir
and myself,
Putin
I guess.
is uncut.
I didn't ask you about it. Not that I want to be there, but I want to make sure it gets done.
He's uncut and a whole lot of man.
We have a pretty good chance of getting it done.
If you had to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10?
So I think the meeting was a 10 in the sense that we got along great, and it's good when, you know, two big powers get along, especially when they're nuclear powers. You know, we're number one, they're number two in the world, and it's a big deal. That's a big deal. You never want to even mention that word.
Wow, it's a 10 out of 10 because nuclear. They got along. Sick.
But we have a tremendous nuclear. You know, I rebuilt it when I was president, first term, and I hated to rebuild it. It was the one thing I hated to rebuild, but we had to. And we have the greatest nuclear force. We have the greatest military in the world, actually, and they have a big nuclear presence also.
Oh, you got to respect it. You
always have to respect it. You never want to use it. If you use that, it could be the end of the world. That's the kind of power we're talking about.
Let's talk about what brought President Putin to the table. I would argue that there are four things in my mind. If you think there are more or you don't think they were a factor, you did the trade deal with the European Union, and in that deal, you got nearly $1 trillion in commitments to purchase American oil. Yeah. That's money that would otherwise be funding Putin's war machine. That's number one. India, 50% tariffs if they import Russian oil. You also, Vladimir Putin wasn't moving at a speed you were comfortable with, so you said you would, unlike Biden, you wouldn't give weapons to Ukraine, you would sell weapons to Ukraine. The last thing, and I don't think it could be underestimated, is NATO is now paying twice what they were paying, and those countries that weren't paying their fair share are. Were those the four factors that brought him into this room today?
Well, NATO is now paying 5% as opposed to 2%, and they're paying it. And, you know, look, it's headed by, as you know Mark very well. He's a great guy and great people. The leaders, I got to know him very well about 6 weeks ago. And great relationship with NATO, European nations basically, but a great relationship. I don't want to say anything brought him to. He's a very smart guy. Nothing brought him to the table, so to speak. I think that he respects our country now. He didn't respect it under Biden, I can tell you that. He had no respect for it. I was so happy when he said this would have never happened. All those lives would be saved if they had a competent. If we had a competent president, those lives would have been saved. It's so sad. You know, I've negotiated 5 wars to their end, and wars that were tough. India,
actually, I
Pakistan.
Have 7. India, Pakistan, Israel, Iran in 12 days, Rwanda, the Congo, Serbia, Kosovo, Cambodia, Thailand, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Egypt, Cambodia. You played a role in all of those, did you not?
I did. I didn't want to include the decimation of the nuclear arsenal, and because I don't consider it necessarily, you know, conclusive, but we did something amazing because for 22 years,
we didn't
no
even need to watch this. I literally told you everything that they were going to say.
We decimated the nuclear capability,
so
potential
stupid.
nuclear capability, which I think would have taken place within a month of Iran. And that was a big thing.
I have to go back. This is too historic and deep
Sean
and
Hannity.
profound.
He is not a journalist.
At a press conference, the president of Russia stated something that you had stated many, many times, and maybe people, your political opponents, might have dismissed. But he said this war would not have taken place if you were president. Now, he did give you behind-the-scenes specific reasons why it happened under Biden. He did give you reasons.
Yeah, he did, but I know the reason. It's gross incompetence. I mean, we have a border that's totally closed now.
He's going to mention it like
people
4
come
more
in,
times
but they come
before
in
the
legally.
interview ends.
But we had 0, as you know. The first time you heard it was 3 months ago, but we've done it now 3 times in a row. 0 people coming in illegally. We have many things that are going well now. Our economy is great. We don't have inflation. The price of energy is down. The price of groceries are down. The price of everything is down. People are happy. We're saving Social Security. You saw that the other day, where we have a genius in charge. I took him out of J.P. Morgan Chase. He was the head of, one of the top people in there, and he did great. He went to one of the big funds. One of the top people. They take a cut. I think he said he's working for 1% of what he was working for. These are unbelievable people. And the job he's done in Social Security and making it really powerful and strong is amazing. And we've done that with many things. I love doing it. I love seeing this country be great again. And just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was Everybody thought it was.
Let me ask you this. We mentioned, to whatever degree history will judge your involvement in the 7 conflicts we mentioned, and this conflict in particular. However they will end up judging you, I don't think any other world leader would have been able to set up this meeting today. You're expending a lot of political capital. I've watched a lot of leaders. I've been doing this since 1987 when I started my radio career. It's a long time. And I've seen a lot of presidents come and go, a lot of world leaders come and go. And you're willing to expend political capital. All of the conflicts that I mentioned, including this one, this does not impact the United States as much as it does our allies in Europe.
It's true.
The Middle East, when we get involved in the Middle East, but you're doing it anyway. Now, why? Is it to save lives? Do you want a safer world?
Yeah, number one, to save lives in all cases, because wars are wars. When you see what would have happened with Cambodia as an example. Now, I'm not involved, but I was involved in negotiating a trade deal, and I said, you guys are going to be fighting Thailand, Cambodia, so many different. Look at India. Take a look at India and Pakistan. They were shooting down airplanes already, and that would have been maybe nuclear. I would have said it was going to go nuclear, and I was able to get it done. Number one is lives, and number two is everything else. Wars are very bad, and if you can avoid them, and I seem to have an ability to end them, to get people together. I use the power of the United States. We have got the greatest economy now in the world. We have trillions, not billions.
I think it's impressive that he got so hard by Putin, and now he still has enough in the tank to get a job from Sean Hannity.
In government saying, where did I get the $29
A lot of you don't
from?
understand the sexual dynamo that Trump actually is.
And, you know, we have, as an example, the European nations, we made a great deal. They pay us literally trillions of dollars. Japan, so many. And you know what? They like us better. They respect us. They didn't respect us. They were paying us nothing. Nothing. We were paying them. They weren't paying us. And I turned it around, and we're actually a very rich country now. You know, I told you my favorite word is the word tariff. I actually made that a little bit later because I got criticized by the fake news. You know, they said, what about religion? What about family?
Well, how many countries now have you made trade deals with, and how much is it incoming?
Many of them, and well, basically all of them, because I made along with some great people, as you know them very well. They're on your show, but I made, I would say 12 or 13 of the big ones. In other words, we made the big deals, and the rest we just assign a tariff to, and we do that by gut instinct. We do that by how we're doing generally, the relationship, and we do it also by deficits. If we're losing a lot of money with a country, you got to pay us a tariff. We got to make it even. We want to balance it out. And I was generous to a lot. Some of them, we lose so much money that, you know, frankly, you'll never make it up. And if they're people that have been great to us as a country, then I take it a little bit easy. But for years, we've been a laughingstock all over the world, the way they took advantage of us. Now, in my first term, I did it. But we got hit with COVID. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country in my first term. But at the end of it, we got hit with a thing called COVID. You may have heard of it. And it decimated the world, the whole world. And we did a phenomenal job, Operation Warp Speed. A lot of people say it was one of the most incredible things they've ever seen. Operation Warp Speed, what we did a great job. But this was a tremendous problem for everybody. I mean, every country, even China, in all fairness, they got hit much later. People thought they avoided it. They got hit very hard. Everybody got hit. But we did a job like nobody's seen, and we came back, and we had a country that was respected again. And then we
La Bubu Pazuzu! La Bubu Pazuzu! Ah, begone, demon!